Hi, I'm Jane Bloomer. I'm a social worker, and I have fought long and hard. I've had huge ambivalence about this LaRouche business, but I tell you, it has been an education. So for those of you, the young lady who spoke about Washington and finding people that really can connect with LaRouche, do not underestimate how your work gets to one, but it takes a while. These are complex issues. Understanding the economy and Glass-Steagall is complicated. I had a pretty good high school education, and good old Alexander Hamilton came up, and I did learn a number of these principles. And I studied some in college, but I didn't take it too much beyond that. But these are heavy-duty principles, but they are within the grasp of us all. So that's my point, speaking from a person who is growing within the LaRouche movement. Now, as far as the classical culture, I played the piano. I was raised in that kind of home, and I had that advantage, and school did, and I did have band, and I did have chorus. So I was not deprived of those things, and they added to my life enormously. Now, why did I say that? I said that for a reason. I said that because when I went on into adulthood and enjoyed sharing concerts and events, it was with a small coterie. It was always a small coterie. Here, I feel like I'm in a community of those that really appreciate a deeper culture. So, and I always missed that. I always knew something was missing in my life. So I know that there are other people out there that have had similar experiences and want to find somebody else that they can share the joy of music, reading, depth, and so on without having to look for a reading group, for goodness sake. I mean, fine, nothing wrong with the reading. Now, the third point, one of the things that I've wrestled with, and I am something of a political observer. I've always been interested in history and government. I would have been a diplomat if I'd been able to speak another language besides English. I couldn't. So I became a social worker. Not a bad profession, not a bad compromise. But I have to say that I do wonder whether LaRouche is not reaching out to those who are available. What about Cornell West at Princeton, or Tavis Smiley? They have written an amazing book about the Poverty Manifesto. Let's see, who else? I was thinking of Eleanor Holmes Norton. She's in Washington, D.C. Huh? She did. But she might support the young lady who would like to start a musical event in Washington. It is not just the slums, and it is not just the congressmen that are in Washington, D.C., for goodness sake. There are souls like me there, I'm sure. So I guess my missionary spirit is to say, do not give up. I'm certainly going out again. I will continue to challenge Dennis and Suzanne and Diane, but I also feel like I have a deeper understanding, and I know who I'm going to approach about Glass-Steagall, music, culture. It just sort of came together today, and thank you so very much.
Okay, John, you'll be the final one. Go ahead. Fine.
Well, Diane Sayre's not here tonight because of a flu, but on the Washington, D.C. question, when she was based in Washington, I know that one thing she did was she formed children's choruses on the east side there in the ghettos. But when she was running for Congress, in one of the debates, they said, "What would you do when you get down there if you were elected?" And she said, "Well, I would start a Capitol Hill chorus in the Congress." So I wonder if maybe that might be one way to break down or get some of these people to communicate with each other or something. If that might be a... Yeah. If we might get some congressmen interested.
Okay, so we're going to now conclude today's events. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I just want to do one thing, which is to tell Mike about the concert that Norbert did. It was in Birmingham, Alabama. It was 20 years ago this March, and it was on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of what was called the Children's March. He did it at the 16th Street Baptist Church, and it was organized by Bill Ferguson and about 5 organizers who spent, I think, 10 days in Alabama. They had about 650 people, and they worked with a group called the Foot Soldiers. The Foot Soldiers still exist, only a few of them, but the Foot Soldiers was a group that had actually preceded King. It was a group called the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights. I mention all this because when Norbert went down to do the concert, I was there the day before and the day of the concert. And he and Gunther Ludwig spent most of the morning and early afternoon before the concert just walking through the church. They looked through the various pictures that were on display. The reason this is particularly important to know is because what Norbert realized, that he knew this, which is one of the reasons that he had insisted on doing this concert, was that this is the church that was blown up right after the March on Washington of 1963. And 4 girls were killed at their Bible study class. This event traumatized 2 people who were also Birmingham students at the time. One of them was named Angela Davis, some of you remember her, and the other one was named Condoleezza Rice, whose parents promptly insisted she never get involved with anything involving the civil rights movement exactly because of those events. And Norbert was very aware of this. He talked a lot about these things, but he was very silent. Norbert really didn't talk very much. Those you know, he would tell jokes, but he never used words except when he had something very specific to say. The night of the concert, 10 minutes before 8, there was nobody there. And over the course of 10 to 15 minutes, 600 people showed up because these foot soldier, this organization, had such a reputation. And they told us that these people were going to show, and they were all there. Amelia spoke there, James Bevel spoke there, but the thing I remember, Mike, is that during he played the César Franck Sonata, and the second movement of this, and I asked Norbert, I said, why are you playing this? I mean, I heard it, he said, because they're going to understand it. And so in the second movement, which is very slow, it's very quiet, and all of a sudden a kid, 2-year-old, starts singing singing along with Norbert. Norbert's playing. You know, it's the second movement. It's a slow movement. And, I'm getting nervous. And Norbert turns and looks at the kid. He doesn't stop playing. And this beaming smile came on his face. And I realized what Norbert would have realized, right, is that this is the church where these 4 little girls got blown up. And here's a little kid with whom he's connected in a way that goes beyond words. The idea of that, and that Norbert's dramatic, intense affiliation with Lynn, which to this day we hear about, even among musicians here in New York City, who tell us that Norbert used to pick fights with violists and violinists here in the city around Lynn's political writings, not around the music. And then they would have to agree they were only going to sit there and play string quartets. We just found this out. So for all of those who may have, you didn't know Norbert, or you came in the organization, don't know what this is, what Helga has done and what the meaning of this Schiller Institute is, you saw today. And I would just encourage everybody, since you already got the marching orders from her, and you know what Lynn's been saying about motive in fact, motive in truth, let's take what we started today and make a beautiful world, one song, one mind at a time, where we become that change that people need from us. I think we can do it. I think Norbert and other people exemplified that. And I just want to thank everybody for coming, and we'll see you at the next event.